We are live. Oh, good evening, viewer. Thank you for joining us this evening to discuss cross-cutting issues affecting the African continent. We are going to start in the next 5 minutes, and we already have our guest here with us, Petrider Paul. So, in the meantime, kindly share the YouTube link and also share with your network so that they can join in the discussion. Thank you. Hello, viewer. Thanks for joining us this evening. So we have on board Petrider Paul, who is the yeah. Oh, yeah, you joined us. Yeah, I was just wondering what's not going on. Yeah. Yes. So we have on board Petrider Paul, African Union Youth Advisory Council board member. All right. My name is Violet Mbiti, and I am the convener of this show. And I also sit at YAN, where I chair the working group on political feminism, women empowerment, and women representation in African democracy. So to start us off, I'm going to share a video of Petrider Paul, so that before now we start asking her questions. So let's just go right ahead. So there's a video that is going to play in a few. I was wondering, like, how come I'm usually not nervous? So I was wondering what's making me nervous. But I'm cool right now. Yeah, so the video is loading, and it's gonna start playing in a few. So Petrider Paul, I'm proud of you and the work that you are doing in Tanzania and also in Africa at large. So viewer, let's wait for the video to load. And Hi, I'm back on. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes, Violet, I can hear you. Let me just tune in my video.
All right. So we'll get right into it. So viewer, my name is Violet Mbiti, and I am the convener of the show, Real Talk Show, hosted by yours truly. I also serve as the chair of the working group on political feminism, women empowerment, and women representation in African democracy. So earlier on, we had network issues, but now we are okay. I had prepared a short video for showcasing what Petrider has accomplished, but seems like today we'll not be able to air it. So, Petrider welcome to this live broadcast. Would you like to introduce yourself to the viewer so that they can also get to know more about you and also what your organization does?
Yes, sure. Thank you, first of all, Violet, for this wonderful session and to be here to be hosted by you. Such a privilege and an honor. My name is Petrider Paul, as you've already introduced. I'm a member of the African Union Youth Advisory Council. I work under the Office of the AU Youth Envoy, and we were recently appointed a couple of year back in 2018 by His Excellency Musa Faki Muhammad. And actually, what we work on is to advise His Excellency on the how best to invest in young people, how best to promote the youth agenda at the continental level, but also work with different stakeholders from Africa and outside of Africa on how best to push the youth agenda forward. But most of all is to amplify the youth voices and be part of that process to enable young people to have a seat at the table within their constituency, their countries, with decision makers, but also make the African Union more friendlier to young people to access various opportunities offered by the AU.
Awesome. So now we'll get right on and ask you some pertinent questions that you will relay now to. You'll answer now the questions, and they are directed towards adolescents and youth. So my first question to you is: can adolescents and youth catch COVID-19?
Actually, adolescents and youth can catch COVID-19, and I'm sharing this based on the insights and advice by the World Health Organization. Majority of adolescents or young people think that they cannot easily catch COVID-19 because the immune system being strong, but this has not proven to be the case, since we have heard and seen a couple of young people who have actually died because of COVID-19, unfortunately, especially also even in Africa. The first case from Zimbabwe was a young person who unfortunately died due to COVID-19.
Oh, okay, all right. So on to now to the second question. Can adolescents and youth spread COVID-19 to other people, even if they have mild or no symptoms?
Actually, COVID-19 symptoms, some are seen, some are unseen, and even for young people themselves, they can still spread it among themselves, especially when they're not wearing preventive gears, mask, or taking necessary precautions. But COVID-19 can be prevented if young people are at the forefront of championing for change, but also taking lead initiatives to educate their fellow young people on how best to prevent COVID-19 from spreading. Because at the end of the day, it replicates the effects. If one young person is affected, a lot of young people will be affected, and even adults or even the elder group can be affected per se by young people themselves.
All right. Since there are few known cases of adolescents and youth getting seriously ill with COVID-19, should one go to a health facility if one develops symptoms of the disease?
It's really good at this current moment where COVID-19 is still fueling up within Africa and outside of Africa, that young people should not directly go to a health facility, but call the emergency numbers within their countries. I think this is very, very important. If young people actually go to a health facility, they are more at risk of spreading COVID-19, and it will increase the burden not only to government but also to different people who are in contact with the person who could have COVID-19 or not, because it will increase the number of cases to be followed up, and the tracing process can take a really, really long time, especially in African societies where majority of communities we live in congested areas and we use local transport as means of commuting.
All right, all right. So what should one do if someone in their family gets really ill with COVID-19?
I think what one can do if their family gets ill with COVID-19, it's first of all, try as much as possible to call the emergency numbers. In whereby in each country we have different emergency numbers available, but also try as much as possible to call the different healthcare providers that are accessible within your area. But taking also preventive measures, making sure the person is in a specific room and does not get into contact with a lot of people or even relatives within the house before the health officials are able to get the patient and offer treatment.
Can you? Oh, yeah. Oh, now you're back on. All right. So, the other question I have for you is, if one is on medication for a chronic health condition, should they change anything?
I think that more depends on the advice of health professionals.
Mm-hmm. Petrida?
Because if you
Hi, Petrida. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. It must be a technical glitch.
Yeah. So, we may find there are youth who suffer chronic conditions. What is your advice to them, especially at this particular time of COVID-19?
My advice to young people who are having different chronic conditions, or even those who are not certain of their health status, actually is to seek advice from health professionals. There are a lot of young people who are doing advocacy on health online, and even some who are doing offline with precautions at the health institutions, is to actually seek the guidance and seek proper information from a certified professional with regards to your health and how COVID-19 might affect it, but also do some online researches through the World Health Organization or Africa CDC, the Africa Center for Disease and Control, which is under the African Union. We offer a lot of information in relation to health matters. If you're having different diseases, or if you're having a chronic disease that you might fear that COVID-19 might affect. But also through the Office of the Youth Envoy, we've launched a COVID-19 Africa library and a mental health helpline, which actually is supposed to help young people, not only those with diseases, seek assistance, but also young people who might be affected during this time, because you might not actually have any chronic disease, but you might be affected
Mm-hmm. Okay. Hi, Petrida. Hi, Petrida. Petrida will be back on in a few. So yeah, so it was network issues, but she'll be back on. All right. I'm texting her. All right. Yeah. So yeah, so it's really crucial for youth and also adolescents to follow the World Health Organization guidelines, as well as the one by Africa CDC, because what you normally find is you find like the youth are saying that they are bored at home, so they go clubbing. Okay, so when they go clubbing, Petrida is joining us right now. Yeah, yeah. So Petrida,
yes.
yeah. So you see, like, yes, you've talked about the youth and adolescents following the guidelines of the World Health Organization as well as Africa CDC. But we tend to find them ignoring, because you can look at the cases in South Africa where they were going clubbing. In Kenya, they were also doing the same. And then when they are asked, they are saying that we are bored at home. So what message do you have for them, even if they are bored at home?
I mean, it's really hard being at home and staying under lockdown or under curfews. But I think for young people, we need to actually take precautions really carefully. And if someone is bored, you can always play music at home. We recently, yesterday, during the Africa Day, actually had an online concert where we had all different African celebrities, musicians, artists come together and do live performances. I think as young people, we need to find better creative ways on how we can entertain ourselves, even if some young people really want to go clubbing, but you have to really think of your health. Which actually situation is better, if a young person goes to the club and end up in a hospital ward with about 200 or 500 patients, with more than 30 days to recover or unlikely to recover, or staying at home and staying safe, staying healthy with the family, and actually be able to still enjoy different entertainments while at home, but keeping safe and healthy.
All right, all right. So Paul Shaw has a question for you. Can Petrida share any useful links here or on the chat later, please?
I'm happy to share useful links with you, Paul, and everyone else that might be able to access them.
All right. Speaking of that, I saw you recently on a webinar where you had highlighted what you are doing in Tanzania to combat COVID-19. Could you kindly share with the viewer what you are doing?
Actually, the recent webinar, it was a roundtable discussion with the United Nations Institute for Training and Research for 1 million by 2030 leaders. I actually shared initiatives of different young people that are doing within Africa and spotlighted two key activities, one from Tanzania and one from Malawi. The one from Tanzania that I'll speak of, it was through Vijana Think Tank. Actually, it's a group that is led by William Sherry, and they did a crowdsourcing fundraiser to actually build permanent water stations within high congested market areas in Dar es Salaam, which was actually the hotspot and still is the hotspot of COVID-19. And I think this is something that is very, very remarkable on how young people can organize themselves with as little as 2,000 US dollars and manage to do something remarkable that will also be sustainable. Currently, there are different young people also producing masks. Mayak from Malawi actually is the one who was producing different masks and got a seed fund from Cambridge Institute of Research. So different initiatives on how young people are becoming creative to help the community or society actually showcases that young people are the futures of today, and they're being creative in a way that is more sustainable. So I think this is very remarkable and something that young people can adopt from other countries or try to do even better, innovative, creative activities to help the community during this time of COVID-19.
All right. So Paul Shaw has a question there. So he was asking, like, are the nightclubs not shut? Okay, like here in Kenya, when the COVID-19 cases now, it's like now many people were infected. The president now stated that all nightclubs will be shut. So as a result, there are several people who lost their jobs. So at this particular moment in time, I'd like to ask you, Petrider, what is your message to the youth who used to work at the nightclubs and now they are staying at home and they don't have a source of income? What message do you have for them? Have you heard me? Have you heard my question?
Young people, not only those who are, yes, those who are working in areas during this time of COVID-19 who happened to lose their jobs because of COVID-19 is to invest more on different initiatives of entrepreneurship, but also
Yeah. Petrider. So Petrider is joining us again in a few. Yeah, she's joining us in a few. Seems like the network issue is everywhere. Yeah. So let me so that she can. Hi, Petrider. Yeah. So as a result of COVID-19, yeah. So Petrider is trying to join the broadcast again. So this COVID-19 has led to loss of jobs. All right. And I was asking, especially to the youth who are working at the nightclub and also in the hotel industry. So I was asking her, like, now since the nightclubs are shut, like here in Kenya, what's her advice to them? So she began by saying that the youth should try to diversify their source of income or even think outside the box to see what else they can do so that they can generate income. Okay, me, I'm Yeah, so she's Petrider, she's back. Yeah, so
Yes.
Petrider, yeah, it seems like the network is both sides, in Tanzania as well as in Kenya. But let's proceed.
The network is actually colluding against us, probably.
I'm telling you. So kindly go. Yeah, you are giving advice now to the youth who have lost their
Mm.
jobs, who are working in different sectors, and also even in the hotel industry.
Yes. So actually, I was saying that for young people, it's best if they have investment in different activities or join up. There are a lot of community savings groups, but also if young people can shift from being job seekers to actually entrepreneurs and job creators themselves, this could be something that could actually elevate the situation of unemployment at the current state, especially when firms and institutions or even clubs or restaurants are cutting down a lot of their staff. But also something that could be more informative for young people to engage on. There are a lot of online jobs currently. Not necessarily it has to be from your country of residence, but other countries where young people can engage and work online. So I think these are different initiatives that young people can work on. But just to add on, young people who probably are in rural settings and do not have access to laptops or other devices, I think farming is an area that has been neglected for a long time, especially for young people, where we leave the older generation to engage in farming. I think farming has really great results, especially right now during COVID-19, where some countries or some families have food shortages. If you have a different product or veggies or anything that you're actually farming on, actually it really pays off at this current situation. It helps a lot, and this is something that a young person in the rural community can actually engage on, because there's a lot of arable land, and there's some crops that do not need much investment or to be looked after, that can be produced.
Yes, she's joining us in a few.
Who's joining us?
Hello,
Yes,
Petrida.
yes, I can hear you, Violet.
Ah, you're back. Yes, so you are sharing about now the youth who are in rural settings.
Yes. So ideally, I just mentioned that the youth in rural settings can engage more in farming. Farming is an area that has been left behind, and it's something that young people from the rural areas can access, and it can still pay off because currently, with the situation of COVID-19, we have a lot of food shortage in different communities, in different families, and this is something that when a young person actually invests in that particular area, and when I mean investment, I'm not actually targeting money per se, but just the effort of going in the field and planting some few crops, it actually really pays off, and can enable a young person make a stable income in our African societies.
All right. Now, the other question that I have is, you see, like at this particular moment that people are on lockdown, um,
Mm.
the rates of sexual abuse have increased, even domestic abuse. So there are young girls and even adolescents who are facing this dilemma. So, what message do you have for them, and what do you message do you also have for men as well, and also for women who are perpetrators of gender-based violence?
I mean, COVID-19 has really brought out the harsh realities of life, especially when it's in relation to gender-based violence, whereby young women, even men, do not really have a place to run off to, but be in that situation with the perpetrators. So my key message is mostly try to seek advice. from different law professionals try to report the cases of violence. No gender-based violence should be left untold, because some people actually do fear speaking out on gender-based violence based on how the society might perceive them, based on how the different family members or relatives or even friends might perceive them. So I think reporting the cases of gender-based violence to professionals, actually it's very important. But also, if you could report it, even just mention it to a friend or even a family member that you actually trust, I think this is something that can really be helpful, because you might not really have the courage or confidence to look for a professional person to actually help you. But sharing that kind of report situation of gender-based violence to a friend or a family member you trust will be able to actually really help you overcome the situation.
All right. So there's someone who has asked, like, there's this adolescent who is saying that he's practicing social distancing, but his friends are not practicing. So what should he do?
I mean, actually, I think the friends should really encourage the other friends to actually practice social distancing, because I think leadership starts with one individual, to actually take lead and show the others the right way to do things. Sometimes it might be that maybe the friends have neglected the situation and find that social distancing is not really important or not valid at the moment, or maybe they do not really understand the actual meaning of social distances or what entails social distancing, because social distancing doesn't really mean to stay farther away from someone, but just to actually limit contacts of with different people, and also limit the spacing between people when you're in a large congested area. So I think it's more on how the person can actually educate the friends, so that they can also be part of that group that actually is practicing social
All right.
distancing.
So we have a question here from Paul Shaw, and you can see it on the screen. So he's saying that he has uploaded quite a few crowdfunder requests from community-based organizations on his timeline. So he just wondered how the money from the African Union Solidarity Concert fundraising will be distributed.
Um, the money from the African Union Solidarity. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Concerts.
The money from the African Union Solidarity concert will be distributed. That's what he's wondering.
Yeah, because as you had stated, there was a concert that was held. All right.
Yes.
So yeah, so it's like we can't see your. Oh yeah, right now you're back.
Okay.
So it's like as you had shared earlier, a concert was held, and it was called the African Union Solidarity Concert. So he's asking, like, the proceeds from the concert, now the money, how will it be distributed?
Actually, I think the African Union Solidarity Concert money distribution will be actually profiled through the AU website. Currently, the fundraising announcement of the actual money which has been raised has not been announced. I think within the next few weeks we shall know actually how much is actually was managed to be raised, if we actually met the target of 1 million US dollars or not. So as after that, it can be distributed to different countries, or it can be actually it might not be distributed in money terms, but also help within the fight of COVID-19.
All right. So Polcho is saying that, by the way, Ayachebi and her team are doing a great job. So yes, so congratulations. Yeah, so congratulations. So so there's also another youth who's asking, I'm feeling really anxious about COVID-19 and its impact on my life. What should I do?
Actually, I think what you can do is more on engaging in different groups, groups that actually are doing proactive work. There's a lot of online groups of young people, but also different um, health professionals who are providing advice, and a lot of activities that can be fun, entertainment. Some people are doing exercises online with their friends, but others are doing cooking lessons. So it's how really creative one person can do to actually shift their mind from anxiety. I mean, we've all been there. I've been there myself during the first weeks of announcement that COVID-19 has actually entered in Tanzania, and it was actually just 1 week after I was arriving in the country. I had fear myself because I was waiting for 14 days to pass to see if I really did contract the virus or not. So during those days, you actually feel a lot of anxiety. But at the current stage, it's been 1 month onwards, and we are still living. We are still trying to keep safe. I think what we really can do is try as best as possible to live a life of preventive ways, whereby we should really take precautions, but also be able to do our daily activities and our daily initiatives. If a person is an advocate, if a person is a lawyer, our country recently adopted a virtual system on judges hearing cases, etc. So I think those are things that might really actually help someone to overcome the anxiety. A lot of endless I think engagements are available.
All right. So there's a question from Paul Shaw. He's saying he's talking about agropreneurship. So he's asking, how can youth be incentivized, especially in urban areas? Because earlier you talked about the youth in rural areas.
Actually, that's a very tricky question, because a lot of young people in urban areas have mostly neglected agripreneurship. But I think how can young people be incentivized and work more on this particular field is looking at how they can adopt their different skills, innovative skills. Young people, mostly in urban areas, are very good at the use of social media platforms, at the use of different innovative skills adaptation. How do you link that to different agriculture initiatives that are available in the rural areas? And this can involve partnering with different young people or different workers who are in the field within rural areas, and merge up the efforts so that we can create a ripple of effects to be able to amplify the work of agripreneurship, especially when it comes to packaging, especially when it comes to how best to select different crop grades, because majority of the young people or even workers in the rural communities actually lack the skills of packing an item or a food product right, that it might not really sell at an actual market price rate, and it might really be at a really low cost effective rate. So how do you balance the two and create a lot of ripple of effects, but also how do you create a high demand for a product? So it's more about branding and more about linking initiatives from young people from rural areas to urban areas.
All right. So at this particular point in time, there is an adolescent and there are a youth and youth who are looking up to you, and they're wondering how you managed now to rise up the ranks and even be appointed at the African Union, all right, as as a advisory council board member. So if they want to start the journey, what message do you have for them?
I think my message will be more on young people staying focused, but also having patience. Most people who actually knew me, I would say more like 6-7 years back, know the path that I came through. It wasn't really an easy path. It wasn't a walk in the park either.
Can you
So
tell
it took
them,
me a
like,
lot.
Can you tell them what you are doing? Now you are assuming that they know what, like, even you can even state, like, at what age did you start? Maybe you
All
started as a
right.
youth, or you started as an adolescent.
Violet, you're keeping me in a spot. Okay, all right, no problem. So ideally, I started my advocacy work on gender at the age of 15, basically because there was a lot of conception around how girls are not fit enough in different leadership position or in different initiatives. Especially I'll take it from the age of 15. I was actually in secondary school, so majority of the leaders within our groups will be the boys. I was like, why shouldn't a girl lead on this? So I actually took up that initiative to actually sensitize majority of my fellow girls to be the voice and be confident enough. It might not be easy always, but actually I think everyone has that 5 seconds fear before actually facing the crowd and addressing some issue that is pertaining a particular society or a community. So at the age of 15, I started different advocacy work in schools, and then I volunteered for UN agencies. After that, I also volunteered for local NGOs, INGOs, and then I also managed actually to work for a donor agency, actually one of the largest donor agency in Tanzania and East Africa. But after that, I did some work on politics, supporting different political advocacy engagement for youth, women, and people with disabilities with an INGO. During my time, I used to manage work, but I also used to manage volunteerism. I think volunteerism comes more with passion and commitment, especially when you're focusing on something that you really, really want to see change for the better, eradicating gender-based violence within my society, because I think a lot
You're breaking off. Wow. I'm inspired, man.
yes of engagement. But after that, I actually received my appointment from the African Union. It didn't come actually out of the blue. It came through applications, and it was applications for an African youth envoy role. Ideally, that application was sent by a young person who actually sent to me to apply, and I actually didn't want to apply at first. As like I engaged in a lot of initiative. Why should I apply for this also? First of all, the application was 10 pages long.
Wow.
So it took me almost 3 days to finish the application, and it was actually near the deadline when I decided to apply. I was like, okay, it's not really bad, I'm just sending an application. If I'm selected, yes. If I'm not selected, it's fine. um Coincidentally, I should say, out of 700 applications, 4 young people were was focusing on getting announced, and out of the
You're breaking off.
four
Yes, Petrida is joining us in a few. Wow. Hey, I'm inspired. I hope you're also inspired, viewer. Oh, hey. So Petrider is joining us in a few. I'm so inspired. Petrider, can you hear me?
Audio
Petrider, can you hear me? Or you are on mute? Petrider, you're on mute. Let me text her, tell her she's on mute. Let me tell her she's on mute. On mute. Wow. Yeah. Oh, hi, Petrider, can you hear me now? Petrider? I think her laptop is misbehaving. Petrider? Oh, yeah, I can see. Yes. Finally, we have you on board. Finally, we have you on board. Can you?
The good. Yeah.
All right. So you are at like there are 700 applicants. So you continue from
Yes.
there. You said there were 700 applicants. Yes.
Within the 700 applicants, 4 young female were shortlisted, and I was amongst of them. After the shortlisting, one female, who's Miss Aya Chebi, was appointed to be the African Youth Envoy, and the rest of us became the advisors within the board. Actually, it was a very huge competitive role, I would say, because it needed a lot of skills, especially with different languages, English, French, Arabic. So I think even Portuguese, if possible. So I think at the end of the day, this role has been more rewarding, and it's a good experience. Even after our tenure of office, and different young people who might come on board, it's something that I think young people should engage in, taking the opportunity of engaging more with the African Union.
Wow, wow, wow. Remarkable, remarkable. So as we end, what is your final message to African youth?
Well, I think my final message to African youth is be determined and be focused. We have a lot of young people in Africa who sometimes lose pace of what they're doing. They lose that determination. They lose that skill set. So I think this is something that they should engage more on. Keep on being determined. Keep being determined. Keep being focused on what you're doing, on your different initiative. I think this is something that's really important, and those are my 2 key messages to young people. I think it's more on determination and more about staying focused.
All right. So, viewer, thank you for joining us on this live discussion. And if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, kindly go ahead and subscribe. And even this week, we are also going to have another guest here on the show who also going to showcase the remarkable impact they are having in their respective country with regard to the projects that they initiated. So thank you so much, Petrider Paul, for your time. We appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to us. And viewer, thank you for everything. And even Paul Shaw is saying, Paul Shaw, we can see Paul Shaw is saying,
yes.
thank you very much, Petrider and Violet. And then earlier on, Ruth. Yes, so like even you can see there, Ruth said that she's so ready for the show. I guess you know Ruth, eh?
Yes.
Petrider always has something helpful to share.
Thank you, Ruth.
Yeah, so Yeah, so thank you, viewer, for joining us. We appreciate your time, and see you soon. Asante, barikiwa,
Bye.
and Viva Africa. Bye.
Viva.
All right.